Venezuela sits atop the world's largest oil reserves, an immense underground fortune that has shaped the nation's destiny for generations. These reserves surpass even those of Saudi Arabia, making Venezuela a key player in the global energy landscape. For decades, oil wealth fueled the nation's growth, funding schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. The black gold beneath Venezuelan soil brought hope and opportunity, transforming cities and rural communities alike. But mismanagement and corruption under Nicolas Maduro's government turned this blessing into a curse. Years of poor leadership and unchecked greed eroded the foundations of prosperity. The state oil company, PDVSA, crumbled, and oil production plummeted. Once a symbol of national pride, PDVSA became a shadow of its former self. Instead of prosperity, Venezuela spiraled into economic and humanitarian crisis. Everyday life became a struggle for millions. Food and medicine became scarce. Millions fled the country. Families were torn apart as people searched for survival beyond Venezuela's borders. The infrastructure built to extract oil decayed, left to rust and ruin as investment dried up and expertise vanished. The promise of a bright future vanished. Venezuela's debts mounted, and hope faded for a generation raised on dreams of oil-fueled prosperity. Creditors around the world began to eye its U.S. oil revenues as repayment, threatening what little income the country still had. This created a dilemma. Any money Venezuela earned from oil risked being seized by foreign creditors, leaving the nation trapped in a cycle of debt and deprivation. The nation's most valuable asset was at risk of slipping away, just when it was needed most to ease the suffering of its people. The world, especially the United States, faced a tough question: how to help Venezuela rebuild if its oil money was constantly under threat from legal battles and international claims. A solution was urgently needed to protect Venezuela's oil revenue for its people, ensuring that future profits would go toward recovery, not creditors. The stage was set for a bold international move, one that could change the fate of a nation and its people. Would Venezuela's oil remain a curse, or could it become the foundation for recovery and hope once again? The answer would depend on decisive action from the world's most powerful nations, working together to find a path forward. And that action was about to begin, offering a glimmer of hope for Venezuela's future. On January 10, 2026, President Donald Trump signed a landmark executive order that would have far-reaching consequences for both the United States and Venezuela. The order was titled, "Safeguarding Venezuelan Oil Revenue for the Good of the American and Venezuelan People." It was designed to protect billions of dollars in Venezuelan oil revenue, a resource critical to the country's future. Specifically, this order protected Venezuelan oil money held in U.S. Treasury accounts from being seized by creditors or foreign interests, ensuring these funds would not be lost in legal battles or siphoned away. The timing was crucial. Nicolas Maduro, the controversial Venezuelan leader, had just been captured, and a new democratic government was beginning to take shape in Caracas. The U.S. saw this as a historic turning point, aiming to give Venezuela a real chance to recover from years of turmoil and economic collapse. The executive order ensured that oil revenue would directly benefit the Venezuelan people, rather than being diverted to pay off old debts or enrich corrupt officials. It sent a clear message to the world: the United States supports a stable, democratic Venezuela and stands with its people during this critical transition. By shielding these vital funds, the U.S. gave the new government much-needed breathing room to focus on rebuilding institutions, restoring services, and planning for the future. The executive order was both a financial safeguard and a powerful political statement, signaling a new era of cooperation. It offered Venezuela the space and security to implement reforms, attract investment, and begin the long process of national reconstruction. This was the first concrete step toward building a stable, prosperous partnership in the Western Hemisphere, with hopes for a brighter future. The world was watching closely, waiting to see if Venezuela could seize this unprecedented opportunity and chart a new course for its people. Trump's executive order acted as a powerful legal shield, creating a new layer of protection for Venezuela's most valuable resource, its oil revenue. It blocked U.S. courts from allowing creditors to seize Venezuelan oil money, no matter how aggressively they pursued old debts. For years, companies and even foreign governments had tried to collect on Venezuela's mounting debts by targeting its assets held in the United States, especially oil profits. The executive order put a stop to this, declaring that any attempt to seize these funds was not just a financial issue, but a direct threat to U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. By elevating the issue, the U.S. signaled to the world that Venezuela's crisis was no longer just about unpaid bills. It was a matter of international stability and diplomacy. Imagine someone finally earning a paycheck after years of hardship, only to have it snatched away by old lenders. This order prevented that fate for Venezuela, giving the country a chance to breathe. Now, for the first time in years, oil revenue could be used for food, medicine, and rebuilding vital infrastructure, instead of vanishing into the hands of creditors. The protection extended to all Venezuelan oil funds held in U.S. Treasury accounts, ensuring that these resources were safe from legal claims and could be directed toward urgent humanitarian needs. By creating a financial safe zone, the U.S. gave Venezuela's new leaders a rare opportunity to plan for the future, rather than constantly fighting to keep the lights on. No longer would every dollar earned disappear into the hands of past lenders, draining the country's hope and resources. This legal move was essential for Venezuela's recovery, offering a foundation for rebuilding and a glimmer of hope for millions. It was a lifeline for a nation desperate to rebuild, and a signal that the world was watching and willing to help. The world took notice. Venezuela's oil was finally protected, and with it, the hope for a better future. The executive order did more than block creditors. It made a promise. The U.S. would hold Venezuela's oil money as a guardian, not a partner. These funds wouldn't be mixed with U.S. money or used for American interests. The money remained Venezuela's sovereign property, held in trust until the new government could manage it. This built trust after years of turmoil and signaled goodwill. The U.S. avoided any appearance of profiting from Venezuela's crisis. The message: partnership, not opportunism. With their oil revenue protected, Venezuela's leaders could plan for urgent needs, restoring power, importing medicine, and stabilizing food supplies. This custodial arrangement was the foundation for Venezuela's recovery. The executive order's promise was clear. Venezuela's wealth would be preserved for its people. It was a cornerstone of the effort to help Venezuela emerge from crisis. The world saw a new model of international support. The future was finally in Venezuelan hands. The capture of Nicolas Maduro marked the end of an era of repression and collapse. With his regime gone, a transitional government committed to democracy and reform took charge. Years of dictatorship had left Venezuela in ruins, but now there was hope. The fall of Maduro opened the door for real change and international support. The U.S. and allies could finally engage with a credible partner in Caracas. Trump's executive order was a direct response to this new reality. It was a vote of confidence in Venezuela's new leadership. By securing oil funds, the U.S. helped ensure this new dawn wouldn't be extinguished by old debts. The world watched as Venezuela began its journey toward recovery. The day Trump signed the executive order, he also met with top U.S. oil and gas executives at the White House. This wasn't just business, it was a summit to plan Venezuela's oil industry revival. With the financial foundation secured, the focus shifted to rebuilding Venezuela's decaying oil infrastructure. American energy leaders brought expertise, technology, and capital to the table. They discussed the challenges: broken refineries, outdated pipelines, and the need for stability. The meeting signaled a new era of industrial partnership. The U.S. government was facilitating collaboration between American industry and Venezuela's new government. The goal: rapidly restore oil production and jumpstart the economy. This would generate income for reconstruction and help stabilize global energy markets. The plan was ambitious, but the stakes were high. Venezuela's future depended on it. After the White House summit, Trump announced a $100 billion plan to rebuild Venezuela's oil industry. This wasn't a government handout. It was a commitment from private American companies. The goal: reverse years of decline and push oil production to new heights. State-of-the-art U.S. technology would modernize drilling, extraction, and refining. American companies would partner with PDVSA, training a new generation of Venezuelan workers. The investment would create thousands of jobs and spark growth across the economy. Pipelines, ports, and refineries would be rebuilt for efficiency and scale. For U.S. companies, it was a major business opportunity. For Venezuela, a path to recovery. Profits would be shared, creating a win-win scenario. Venezuela's vital industry would be reborn, and American interests would be served. The partnership promised transformation on a national scale. The world watched as the plan took shape. The U.S.-Venezuela partnership would reshape the oil industry. Gone was the old state-dominated system plagued by corruption and inefficiency. In its place, a model built on U.S. private sector partnership, technology, and transparency. American companies would bring modern management, environmental standards, and anti-corruption practices. Local workers would be trained in the latest techniques, ensuring knowledge stayed in Venezuela. As production ramped up, Venezuela would rejoin the global energy market as a major player. This would help stabilize oil prices and reduce reliance on unstable regions. For the U.S., it meant energy security and stronger regional ties. Oil wealth would finally benefit Venezuelans through transparent revenue sharing. The promise of black gold could at last be fulfilled. President Trump's actions marked a new strategy for Venezuela's recovery. The executive order protected oil revenue, giving Venezuela a chance to rebuild. The $100 billion investment plan powered the comeback, creating jobs and growth. For Venezuela, it meant hope, a stable democracy, a growing economy, and a better life. Oil wealth could now fund schools, hospitals, and opportunity at home. For the U.S., it brought stability, energy security, and economic opportunity. Restoring democracy in Venezuela created a strong partner in the region. This bold move turned crisis into a model of international partnership. The world saw what was possible when nations worked together. A new era of cooperation and prosperity had begun.